Hello, Parvati. Morning. Hey, Gia. Hello. Hey, Spirit. Yesterday was the first time that I heard your voice, Spirit. You have a nice a nice tone. I won't be able to stick around for long, but I wanted to see the new deck. Oh, yeah, I have it right here. I have it. No, 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 no. I mean, have you listened to me? You guys have been like staying by my side and struggling with understanding my broken English. So if I manage to communicate with you, I guess this is the tarot of oppositions. It's amazing. It's amazing. Is of Los Carabeo. Yeah, I don't know if it's good, because I notice that I tend to repeat the same words or the same phrases that I know. Um, so I have to expand my, uh, the way I use words to introduce some new ones because whenever I feel comfortable talking, for example, I notice this in the videos. I tend to repeat myself a lot, or I tend to use the same words. And maybe, you know, sometimes there are some things that if you use a different word, it changes the how profound the meaning is, or the profundity of what I want to express. Hey, Samara. So, so yes, this deck is very interesting. Oh, you can Google the words for. Oh, yes, I'm doing that lately. Yes, to find synonyms. Yes, because otherwise I'm always. Hey, Hope. I'm always using the same words. I know that you understand me, and probably you're going to get the meaning anyways, and you're going to get what I want to say. But I want to put like more effort in the way I express myself. especially during the readings, because I mean, I want to be as, as expressive as possible. Um, and there are some expressions in Spanish that if you translate it to English, it's not the same. Um, and otherwise, and vice versa, because, for example, since I had studied in the past counseling, a lot of the books and the documents that we would get, sometimes they you notice that the English parts were still in there, or maybe that some words were like very literally translated, and you would miss a lot about the meaning, especially when it has to do with techniques, and with emotions. Sometimes when I read it in English, I understand it better than when I read it like translated in Spanish. I don't know if because the translator they didn't know, how to close the concept or the idea, and they just put the literal word in there, but it doesn't mean that. So that's one of the things that I'm happy that I know English, because I was able to probably get the original phrase or the original concept in English and understand it better than when I read it in Spanish. I was just going to say the words you use, very expressive and colorful. It makes you really... Yeah, thank you, G. Thank you. Hey, Arushi. Thank you, Tia. Really, I try, because it's when I read for someone, I usually feel a lot. So I try to, put it into words, and for it to be as faithful as possible. So you can empathize with what I'm reading, so you can also feel what I'm feeling. Because it's profound, even though, sometimes the subjects are not that profound. But when it is, it's great to pay attention to that. When it happens, for example, when I read for there are certain actresses that I read for that their energies was very touching. Their energies were very touching, very touching. And these actresses actually are very popular and are very loved by the audience. But me, without not knowing them that much and not reading for them, when I read for the first time, especially when they get these cards about wanting to be mysterious, and not mysterious in the sense of like, oh, I'm hiding something from the audience. It's more about, how hard it is for a female to actually be being valued by their skills or their talent, and not just by the way they look or who they are dating. The objectification. So when I read that they are so profound as people, and that they work extra hard to get into the characters, or they study extra than the other actors to somehow get in the skin of the character that they are playing, and it's about the style that they do things, and probably they have this need to remain anonymous, or to actually, yes, to present to work, or to present to promote a series, but then they want to be left alone. They are not interested in exposure. Thing is, though, the best way to improve in English is just as you continue to speak the language, because my native speak itself as second English sometimes. Yeah, that's why I was like, when I decided to do the channel in English, I was like, okay, this is your moment. This is the moment to use everything. Every time you had to go to these English academies after school, every time you had to do, you had to take English classes, like this is the moment, like put it to work, like use it, use it and try to reach an audience with this. So let's see how it goes. So for me, it's, maybe for others, oh, she's creating content or she's reading tarot. But for me, it's a bigger accomplishment, because like you said, Samara, I didn't have people to talk to in English. Here, no one talks in English. So, and yes, I read in English, like I watch movies in English, like I listen to English music sometimes. But it's not the same as doing it by myself and being a listener, like, and another thing very differently is to engage. It's like to present myself in English or to respond in English or to interact with you guys. Like definitely I think that it made me like a bit smarter somehow. When it comes to comprehension, to the comprehension of the language, I believe I am smarter than 2 years ago. So I'm happy. I don't know if I would be able to teach it to others, because in here, in my everyday life, I have my cousins that they have their careers, but there's the English is a subject in almost all careers, so English is everywhere. So sometimes they are like, oh, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? With these sentences and this, and I'm like, I can help you solve them and I can check out if you've done it right. But don't ask me to teach you English, because the way I learned English is very different from the typical way, and it's years of consuming, I don't know, watching movies, watching series only in English, and it's like they think that it's easy, that it's like, okay, we're going to read this book and I'm going to teach you a few words and you're going to be okay. No, it's more difficult, because when you put it into work, like when you use it, it's different. It's different. So it takes years, actually. It's not something that you're like, okay, well, I guess that with the course of 1 year, that this is something that a lot of English academies, they promote here. We have these very famous English academies in Latin America that they are like, oh, do you want to speak in English? Like, we will help you. And it's not like that. Because they give you all this paperwork and they give you all these sentences and a lot of books and a lot of text and listenings as well. But you never have the chance to actually speak to someone in English in a regular basis. Like you only get to do that when you are practicing, but then that's it. Oh, yeah, and I've been told that I had to also correct my grammar. Oh, thank you, Spirit. Oh, I have been studying a lot, guys, because I'm with this specialization in teenagers. So I have been studying a lot. I have been doing the readings. And I'm also having my clients for counseling here at my house, So even though I am in the comfort of my house, still sometimes I go crazy because I'm like, oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to go do this, and also thinking about, you have to take care of your house at the same time. When you have to do laundry, you have to cook, everything. So I'm very busy. But it's okay because it's something that I love to do and that I'm doing what I love, and I'm somehow like my own boss, but at the same time I'm the only employee. So I try to be everywhere, try to stay connected as much as possible, but it's going great. It's going great, and also one relief that I have at the moment is that slowly the days are getting a bit more, like, I will say, cold. They are not getting colder, but they are a bit more not so hot, the weather. So I feel at peace finally. Finally I can go to sleep without having the fan on or without having the AC on. So I'm excited about that because I love winter. I love winter and I love autumn, fall as well. I was supposed to study astrology in the last few weeks. I was free, but I just kept procrastinating. I feel more motivated to see you studying writing. Yeah, yeah. It's just that studying. I guess, guys, you go through this all the time, but I haven't like actually been in a career for a long time. Oh yes, I am, Fluffy. I am, yes. And I'm doing the specialization in teenagers, or in teenage, because I have the possibility to. I had been asked actually if if I could see teenagers, because I don't know if my friends, they have their children are already in the teenage stage. So they, you know how they are. We all go through this. It's tough. So they constantly like contact me to ask me if I can like have a session with them. But honestly, I didn't feel like I had the tools. I mean, I had the subject of teenagers, and the study of teenagers, but it was a very brief. It was one semester, so I didn't feel like with that information that I had like 5 years ago, I didn't feel like enough prepared to deal with, like to receive one. And now that I'm doing this, I'm getting a bit more comfortable with, we're doing a lot of practices. So I'm feeling a bit much comfortable with doing sessions with adults and also with teenagers. So I'm excited. I'm excited. Excited. And also, it's very interesting. I think that also what inspired me to go with teenagers is that K-pop, the audience of K-pop. We know that, I'm 38, so I know that for me, I enjoy K-pop, and I know people of my age and older that they love K-pop as well, but usually is directed to them that they are in that phase. But we, the other generations, we connect with our teenage self when we consume K-pop. So, it's all about that era in our lives. It's all about connecting with the joy, the excitement of being someone's fan, and I think that this is the reason why I wanted to, have this specialization, because I'm like, with me connecting with this, I feel like I can understand them a bit better, and also me as a teenager, when I was a teenager, I got diagnosed with lupus, and I wish I had someone to talk to back then. because it's not just enough with just giving you some pills and give you a treatment um, about this autoimmune disease that no one knew nothing about at that time. So I think that the psychological aspect is very important for a teenager because it can be traumatic and you can feel very lonely, and it's a stage in your life where you feel out of control all the time and you probably don't have the same trust, or you just, I don't know, you feel like you cannot communicate with your parents or with people around you. You feel very lonely, very frustrated with a lot of things. So that's why I guess I want to treat them. I want to offer them this, in a space where they can talk about what's going on with them without feeling judged, and also with the confidentiality that for a teenager also to be able to trust you, that you're not going to go and tell their parents what they said, is important, to build that bond, that trust. Of course, if the teenager is doing some self-harming things, of course I have to let the parents know. But in the cases that is something personal, they can trust me. It's the opposite here. We wish we get more sun. Oh yeah, but you are very close actually, I guess. Because if we are entering autumn, you probably are very close to entering spring. You will do a good job. My only advice would be not to mistake things as sun. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. They are not that innocent. I know. They have their issues. That's why I felt the need to do the specialization, because they are not easy to deal with, and they probably could bring a lot of things, a lot of things. A lot of things could come up. So you have to be ready. You have to be ready, yes. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I agree. Most people don't understand unless they have gone through something themselves. Empathy is a rare gift. Yeah. I wish I had that option as a teen. My dad was emotional, neglectful, and my mom was unable. Yeah. That also, in my case, since I was an only child and everything, my dad and my mom, they gave me everything, everything. Like, I cannot complain. In their own way, they showed me that they care. I never had anything materialistic, like lacking. But I think that this is what Evan Sugar Baby was saying. I think that what I needed the most is to be understood in an emotional level, because especially when you're feeling very emotional and you just want to, I don't know, you just want to say it, and you don't want someone to be like, oh, don't be like that. Like, you're being too much. Like, you're exaggerating. Like, stop it. Like, don't cry. Don't cry. Don't talk about that. That you don't have to talk about those things. And that's also very hurtful. That's also very damaging for an individual in their developed stages, because that also like prepares you and molds you for how you're going to present yourself then as an adult in the world. You're going to stop hiding how you feel because you were taught that expressing emotions is not well received, or that people just don't have time for that. So sometimes, yes, parents, sometimes they don't know, or there's different circumstances that, yes, when you're teenage, son, when your teenage daughter is going through something and they want to express it and they want to be chaotic, like, let them get it out. Let them get it out. Don't teach them to hide it, to be like, oh no, don't act like this. No, I don't have time for this. Because it's not easy. It's not easy for a teenager, and also because they tend to feel things more intensely. So it's not easy to be them. But also, I think that sometimes some parents focus a lot on the material things. They are like, oh, but if I pay school for you, I gave you this, and it's like sometimes what they need the most is understanding and listening, to be listened to. I saw a therapist when I was a teen and it helped me a lot, but it was hard to open up, and I remember feeling pressure to do well, even in therapy. I still saw the therapist as oh yeah, you still saw them as a figure of authority. So I think it's very important to make the teen feel like, the secrets are safe with you, like you said. I feel like I will be comfortable confiding you. Yeah, like, but this is, I went to therapy myself, but not as a teenager, but as a grown-up. And I had two different circumstances. I had one experience where the therapist was really cool. She was like, we would be talking about series and movies and books, because she was like she was so into that, into reading the same things that I read, and we would spend almost like the first 20 minutes of the session talking about our favorite movies. And also she was like a cat lover, she had cat of her own. So, we would like spend talking about our hobbies. And she was so nice, but at the same time, I think that the encounters, the sessions were too light, too, like, when you meet a friend, and everything is very informal and it's very like, like, probably she tried to make me connect by being that sort of friend or by being that friendly. But I think that I felt like yes, I felt comfortable with her, but at the end of the sessions, I didn't change anything. It was like a conversation, like a reunion, like where, yeah, we were talking, we were laughing. Actually, I felt good, but I guess I didn't fix or I didn't work on what I had to work on. And that also is the therapist's job, to somehow not to make you like go away, because I don't believe that we have to guide people to go to certain or say certain things that they are not ready to say or face. To each, you have your own time. But there has to be a work. There has to be like a structure. Otherwise it's just a conversation and nothing gets done. And then the other one that I had, the other therapist, she was, I don't know why, I felt like she was very judgmental of me. She was very harsh. And I even told her once, like, one day I went to a session with her. She helped me a lot, but she from the beginning, she told me that I was like an onion, that I had different layers. So I was very hard to get to, the real me or the real issue. This is why when you go to therapy, it's not that you go and you start working on your issues on day one. No, you can actually go for months and even years and not even touching what the real issue is. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of, it depends on the person. In my case, it takes a while. For me, I have to trust you. We have to, have this connection. But yeah, I guess with her, I felt like I couldn't tell her what, I don't know, I couldn't tell her some aspects of me or some aspects of my experiences, and once I told her that, I was like, I was thinking that I never told you this. I was thinking about it, and she was like, but why don't you tell me? And I was like, I don't know, because I don't feel like I should tell you. And that's like when you, that's like a deviation, that's like a block in there. Somehow, like the therapist cannot go through you, and they also have to work on this. But this depends on the therapist. Some therapists, they think that they know it all, and that you are the problem because she doesn't want to tell me, so she has to make her mind. I'm here. But no, if a client doesn't feels a resistance to tell you something, or they give you a hint that they want to say something but they're not saying it, it's because somehow they don't feel like supported enough. So that's something that the therapist has to reflect on themselves, like what's going on, that you cannot open up. What's going on with this client that it seems like you want to get to that issue, but they always change the subject and they don't go there. What's going on in there? Yeah. I had fun talking with her. I still had issues, but I wasn't working. Yeah. And you feel it as well. You're like, oh, this feels very comfortable. Like, yeah, I like being here. Yeah, it's fun. She's great. But, you know, and also I had an experience with a male therapist, and from what he told me, he graduated not long ago, I believe a year ago, something like that. He told me, and I remember that he would be writing all the time, writing all the time. So he would ask me some things and he would write it down. He would ask me other things and he would write it down. So, I felt a disconnection in there, like, because somehow watching him write down something, my attention went to there, like, what are you writing? Like it distracted me, actually. If I was talking about something, I would stop and I would pay attention to what he was doing. And I would even guess what he was writing because, the way he moved his hand, it was very distinctive that he was like I don't know if it's like filling a report page or something like that, but it was very distracting, and so yeah, that one didn't work very well. I stopped going, like I didn't, I think I let him know that I wasn't going to keep going, but like, he didn't respond back, so he was very like awkward. Yeah, and one thing that I don't like as a client is when they make me wait. For example, if I know that my session is at this time and I'm waiting outside and I ring the bell, or I'm knocking on the door, and because I know that there's someone in there, like I know there's a client before me. I know this. But you know, it would be much comfortable if there was like a waiting room. For example, here in Argentina, we don't have that because sometimes some therapists they do, they have their offices or they have their place where they see people at their houses or sometimes at places that they rent. You know, they rent some offices. So these offices are very small and probably it's just like one huge room and with a chair and with two chairs and a table and that's it. So it's not like it's like a place where you have like a waiting room where you can sit and wait until your turn is you know is next. But I remember I would have to wait outside and I was like, oh my god. But you know what? I think that it was very uncomfortable because that then when I went in after the prior client left, it took like 5 minutes of my session. And I didn't get those 5 minutes back. In the sense that if my session had to end at 10:45, you know, the therapist wouldn't give me the extra 5 minutes. They would end the session at that exact time. So in that sense, but I know that there are some theories that it says that sometimes they make you wait on purpose to see if you can deal with frustration and also with you having to wait. But it's annoying. Definitely, I like, if you're like, does it bother you? Yes, it does. It does bother me. Hey, Rim, it does bother me. It does. Because I'm so punctual, you know, I try to be on time. I even try to be like earlier. So out of respect for the professional, you know, and all of a sudden to be like, you know, waiting in there. Yes, they make you waiting for. Okay, guys, so I want to show you this, the tarot of oppositions. And this is great because for me, remember, hey, Janice Sixtoad, oh, I have no idea. I believe I must have like 50 probably. All like tarot and oracles. Oh, I believe it must be 50 something. Yeah, I have a lot. Yeah. Unfortunately, this one is glossy. You know, and this I don't like glossy decks. First of all, because I cannot show it to the camera without it glowing. And second, because it's slippery. So when you're shuffling, the cards go everywhere. And I shuffle very fast, so the cards jumped everywhere. This is to show you the different sides of a card. You know, this is why it's called the tarot of oppositions. Is to show you the different sides of one card. For example, in here, this is the card of the Hangman. If we see it like this, we see like the light attribute of the Hangman as we know it. But then if I turn it over, you see the shadow side or the dark side of the Hangman. This is like the light attribute. That is like when you reach awareness and you somehow accept your faith. You don't fight it. You don't resist it. It's not easy, it's not comfortable, but you realize that the more you push, it can be very awkward, you know. You can even like hurt yourself even more, and you can actually like get a sense of desperation, or a very like uncontrolled like feeling. Yeah, it kind of like reverse card explained. Yeah, you know, I don't read reverse. Honestly, I don't read reverse. I don't like it. But I think that with this card, with this tarot deck in specific, I'm going to use it. I'm going to shuffle it, and I'm going to use it the way it comes, the way the card comes. For example, in this case, we have the Page of Pentacles. In here, you have the bright side. You have the light attribute. Is someone very studious, someone very concentrated, someone that is already very in order. You know, they know that they are studying, like they are willing to study, they are very concentrated, they are all about learning the details and also absorbing the knowledge with a lot of devotion, with a lot of patience. But then you have this. This is the shadow side. The shadow side, it talks, you know how he put the coin inside the book? It's like a bit when you get desperate to get all the answers, or when you try to learn something the faster way as possible and try to skip. You get a bit greedy about knowledge, and you're like, oh, I have to, you know, I wish I could some different. I'm going to read you the meaning. So, but it's very interesting. Okay, the positive side of this is dreams are coming true, enthusiasm is great, and the energy you possess is abundant. Do plan, start whatever intuition suggests or what you were asked to finish a long ago. Don't launch into crazy journeys or actions, but go ahead and aspire to greatness. And this is the negative side meaning. It says, lack of grounding in reality forces you to work harder to achieve what would be possible with much less effort. Growing in wisdom, commitment, and skill is mandatory if you are not to continue wasting energy. Work without joy ages the spirit. Yeah, it's the same. It's as I was saying. You know, when you get very like greedy, and when you become impatient about the learning process, you know, you're like, oh, I want to summer these two things, you know, and I want to join what I know, and I want to do this crazy combinations so I can absorb the knowledge faster, and so I can, I don't know, get the recognition that I want or the prize that I want. You know, you start to get greedy, and you start to somehow want to manipulate and fasten the process, because you are becoming very like out of control. And actually there are the process of learning something or a situation is that you have to be, you know, like the pentacles. The pentacles is the earth. So you cannot force the results. You cannot force the knowledge inside of you. You know, it takes time. It takes time. It takes effort, and it takes discipline. So if you get too greedy, or if you get like too obsessed with, oh, I have to I have to get all this as soon as possible. You're not learning. You are just like you are like probably learning by memory, or you are skipping some methods. You are not present in the process of learning. You are absorbing the information, but you are not integrating inside of you. So probably what you fast learn at the end of the day is not going to get stuck in you. Actually, you are going to remember it the time you read it. But then if someone asks you about it, are like, okay, what did you learn from this? Oh no, because this is actually very true, because you definitely do notice how a person changes after they learn something. After they learn a craft or a subject, or something that they want to learn. The knowledge transforms that person. They are not the same, because they became one with what they were taught. So they change. But if you're just learning to say, oh, like, I know the answers. I remember them all because I'm so smart. Like, I know all of them. And it only took me 15 minutes to remember all of them. Then you're not really like, the knowledge didn't pass through you. You just are absorbing it in a very superficial way. You are not integrating it. So when you do this, it's not about failing, but it's probably that experience is going to come back again at some point in your life to challenge you, because you didn't learn the lesson when you had to. Gemini. Like almost being obsessed with learning and consuming all the information at once. Yeah. I have to be fast or I will lose interest. It's just that there's different methods, but there are some subjects in your life that are meant to be learned with the skill. This is why this is like you see it represented by a pentacle. A pentacle, if you notice when I show you, I don't have it here, but wait, let's see if I can find it. No, it's not necessary for me. See, if I find it, I was going to get another deck, but I guess in here I have them. I wanted to show you, and I cannot find it. This is typical, guys. When you want to find a tarot card, you cannot find it, actually. I wanted to show you No, I cannot find it. Well, but remember the card of the Eight of Pentacles? That the Eight of Pentacles show you someone putting the effort and working, working really hard on the details and being very but you know, this is something that actually you see a lot in Pentacles. Pentacles, since it's the earth element, it talks about efforts, and efforts and working on this one. Working on the efforts, you see? You see here someone working on the effort. So it's about a craft. It's not about an intellectual knowledge. It's something that you have to know how to use your hands properly and know how to use them and when to use them and when to apply force and when to let it dry and when to wait and when to, you have to learn everything, And then you have here, that sometimes part of the process of you learning something and for it to be perfect is that you have to acknowledge that there are going to be some moments where that process can be interrupted or you can mess up and you can make a mistake and ruin the whole work and probably start over. So it's about patience as well. And it's also about accepting that we are not made to be perfect. Like, we can concentrate on details, but sometimes, like, we show people the final work. We show people this. We are like, oh, and this is what people see also. When they see us working on something, and they're like, oh, wow, your work is really beautiful. You are amazing at it. Look at the details. Look how hardworking this person is. Look how talented this person is. But they never seen you struggling like this. They don't see what you went through. They don't see the times where you mess up, the times where you made a mistake, the times where you had to start over, the times where you had to stay extra hours to fix something, the times you failed. They don't see that. They see this. Oh, this person is a genius. This person is talented. But for this person to be able to be this perfect and this exact and this, they have to go through this. They have to go through the chaos of messing up. That's also part of the process. This is the same when I tell you, when we talk about K-pop idols, for example, and we watch them doing these amazing choreographies, and we're like, oh, they are so talented. Like, look how beautiful their dance moves are. Look how synchronized they are. Look how amazing they look. They are like a machine. But you never saw how many times they failed while learning that choreography, or maybe how many times they slipped and fell and I don't know, they had an accident, or you don't see that. You only see the final product. Yes, art school, yeah. Yeah, actually, I do love Gemini energy and Gemini air elements energy because they absorb knowledge very fast and they are very smart. And you definitely need people to be like this. I admire them because sometimes for me, I tend to be a bit slow at learning things. So even though sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, I get it, but I don't get it actually. It's not that I'm slow. I don't consider that I'm slow at absorbing information. It's just that I feel a bit overwhelmed if the way you are sharing it is too fast. Like, I need time to integrate it. I will get there, but just don't throw so much things at me, because I'm like going to be like, okay, like. And look at this magician. Look at this magician. See, this is the light attribute of the magician. The magician pointing at the sky, the flowers, all the elements, and look at this side of the magician, the shadow side. The shadow side with, you know, everything is dry, everything is dust. Actually, all the elements are broken, empty. And actually, you know, what he's using is like, you know, he has there like, he's using his magic to somehow like cheat people, you know, or to distract people. It's like he's not using his magic. This magician is looking above, not above, like, yes, above. This magician is like, you know, his vision, his wisdom or his magic is higher. It comes from a higher place of awareness. In this case, it's more about the earth, the mundane things. You know, it's about to trick you into thinking that he has the answers, or that he can, like, he can give you an answer, or that he can like change a situation for you, but he's tricking you, because actually he doesn't possess any kind of tool. He doesn't possess anything. He's just like a trickster, a prankster. Yeah. I'm rather slow and impatient, which is the word. Yeah, me too. I get very impatient as well. Yeah, I don't like to accept that I'm not getting something. So probably this is why, you know, I will say, like, if you ask me if I got it, I'm like, yeah. Do you have any questions? No. Like, and then I go home and I'm like, I should have asked. I'm awful. Yeah, exactly, Arushi. It's very descriptive. I'm amazed, I swear. Like, I was like, I have to get it, especially because I don't work with reversals. So I think that this is like, and also too, there's a lot of people that I've been reading like the work your shadow spread for them. They've been getting that spread for me, from me. So I think that it would be interesting to also show it for the shadow, work your shadow spread. Um, I have to compact what people are saying to understand, which is difficult as hell. Oh, the shadow side of the magician is so depressing. Yeah. It's like, you know, it's also like making you believe that they have a knowledge that they don't possess, or that they have a talent that they don't possess. Actually, people that have no talent, or people that have no wisdom, are the easiest to trick you, or to be like scammers, you know, to trick you into, I don't know, a shady business or something like this. Because since they are empty inside, since they don't have, like, you know, values or a vision or awareness of what they're doing, they are just empty inside, or they are poor inside, you know, they are poor in their soul. They can be anything. They can be great charlatans, you know, they can be great talkers, you know, they are great at saying what you want to hear, because in their desperation to, this is why I have a few trouble with the Sorry, guys. I'm going to eat because I haven't had breakfast. I have a few problems with the word "fake it till you make it," because I'm like, yeah, I understand that it's a way of staying positive while you are in the process of, getting there. But fake it till you make it, I think that it's a bit shady, and that's why we have these scammers that they have documentaries on Netflix, because we think that fake something is to be cooler, is to be above the law, is to be eccentric, is to be ruler of your destiny, and it's not that glamorous. You're actually deceiving a lot of people, even yourself. It's just that those people don't have awareness, so they are not deceiving anyone accordingly to their perception. Hey, Nadeska. No, you're not late. We're just talking about tarot. And I'm having breakfast with you guys in front of you. The deck is interesting. Yeah, that's also something that I was very interested in, Gia. I always go for the complex tarot decks, always, always. And this one, even though, yeah, probably I can get it with just like, I don't know, like you were saying, like for example, reading reverse, like okay, the negative or the shadow aspect of a card, but to see the images evoke something else. This is why, the cards is something that I think that it's a mix of a lot of practices. It's not enough that you learn the meanings from a book or from a giant book or from someone's talking about the meanings and their interpretation of the meanings. You also have to observe the card. And sometimes we don't observe the cards that much. Sometimes um, we want to be so quick at getting the interpretation. And this includes us, the people that we read tarot all the time. This is why it's important to keep practicing and keep doing courses and keep studying, because then you are like, oh, I already know what this card means. No, because for some people it can mean something different, and you have to adapt to the situation. And of course, a deck can have a different energy than others. This is why I try with people not to use always the same deck. I try to make it diverse. Uh, And here, look at this. Look at this high priestess. I want to cover it so you don't get like tempted to look below. This is the upper, the light attribute. You know, this is the usual high priestess that we know and love. You know, she's like the representation of us, the tarot readers. You know, the one that holds the secrets. And then you have the dark side. And actually, you know, this is very interesting. What does this side, this shadow side, lets you know? Like, what does this image evoke of you in comparison to the usual high priestess? What does this dark attribute of the high priestess, these images, what does it? What is your interpretation of this? Foxing. It also, yes, it evocates that as well. Because it's not to, you know, to condemn, no, criticize. Of course, you know, this is something that I think that is valid. Probably the card that also is reflecting is that somehow for you to be a priestess, there's no dress code. You know, in the sense that that you know, the fact that you are wearing a miniskirt, it doesn't mean that you are less of a reader or that you are not that intuitive. You know, we can see it this way. But I think that, you know, she has all this. If you notice, she has like a cape, you know, and also her moon, you know, the triad here, the moon is black. So it could also represent Lily's energy, the dark moon energy, the seductress. You know, here we have like Diana, like the goddess of the moon. And here we have the dark moon. And she has like a lot of accessories, you know. She reveals herself, and maybe it's metaphorical because the high priestess is linked with secret knowledge. She shares too much. She looks hot, yes. She shares too much. And also, if you see this, in here, the high priestess is holding the Torah, the pergamene. See? And in here, she's not holding anything. She's not holding any secrets. Where is her knowledge? It seems like she has the throne, she has the environment, she has the accessories, she has the crown, she has everything that indicates that she is a high priestess. But where is the knowledge? Where is the mysticism in here? I think that this high priestess is like the influencer that it's a tarot reader, a Reiki master, whatever options you want, and they also do travel logs, this sort of like a mix of luxury and exposure. And I'm also going to talk to you about spirituality. And I'm going to sell you a course also. This could indicate the fake use of spirituality, or the fake use of, the fake promotion of a knowledge that you claim that you possess because you act like one. You talk like a leader. You talk like a spiritual person. You say that you know things. But everything that you know, you use it for you. For you to shine brighter. You see, she has all these decorations. She has everything. Even her ankles have jewelry. So it's like she's using this sort of like, oh, I know things, I'm psychic, to draw you in. But the main interest here is based on the ego, is based on that, oh, if I say that I know things, or if I say that I read the tarot, and if I say that I know yoga, for example, or I believe in certain spiritual waves, I can be popular. And it's all about me. Because I know, I know things. So it's all about me. It's all about the instincts. It's all about also probably like creating a sort of like obsession. Like, oh, you will follow me. You will like follow my readings, and you will follow what I promote because I'm beautiful, and because, I am a goddess. There's a lot of people actually on the internet that they claim that they are goddesses of love, and I mean, there could be, I met beautiful females that represent this feminine, strong energy. And I even had done courses with some people here in Argentina that they talk about the sacred feminine. And for me, it was a very healing experience because, I'm a Capricorn, I'm ruled by Saturn, so I have a lot of even though Capricorn is a feminine side, when we are in control, we tend to be like the ruler, the father of the zodiac. So sometimes when we are the father, we become too stiff or too strict, and we forget about our softer side. So I remember I did this course of the sacred feminine with someone that she was like the embodiment of very raw femininity. Not the princess, like, no, the almost like the indigenous, the indigenous side, the wild woman, the real woman, the creator, but also the destroyer. So that's, and these people honestly, these people, these women that they give these courses, when you meet them, they are so humble. They are often barefoot, and they, and you do some techniques and you do some breathing meditations and stuff, and it's everything. It's very natural. It's just you embracing that you are a feminine, that you are a female, and the hardships of being this feminine, but also to, with the help of others, to embrace your femininity. But femininity doesn't need decorations. Femininity is natural. The beauty is natural. You don't need like decorations. You don't need like, you know, filters. When you are a strong feminine, you have it in you. You don't need a certain outfit or a certain accessory to make you look more feminine. You just are. You just are. So whether they would use a mini skirt or a long dress, it's not about the clothing. It's about that when you are learning something, you cannot get distracted. And this is something that, I notice a lot, for example, in K-pop reactions. Let's go back a bit to K-pop. I do, how I notice that a K-pop reaction is, according to my perception, it's a real one, when actually the people that is reacting to an MV is actually like focusing on the music and the MV. And it's not just like, oh, look at the shoes that they're wearing. Oh, look at that, oh, the shoes. Oh, they are amazing. Look at those shoes. Look at that hairdo. Oh, look at their accessories. Oh, I want the jacket. I want to buy it for myself. It's like you're just like focusing on what they're wearing because you want to buy it yourself. Nothing else. Like, that's all you can say. Oh, look at their hairdo. Like, and it's like, but you are reacting, you're supposed to be reacting to the music. Like, I don't, like, for example, I'm no expert in music, so, like, I like, reactors. I like the ones that are very technical because they teach me things about music and sounds that I have no idea. Then I like the ones that are the funny ones, for example. Like, I get it. Like, I also watch an MV and I'm like, oh, my bias is so beautiful. Also, of course. But I'm not making a reaction. I guess that when you react, when you create something to share it with others, and the only feedback that you can give is, oh, look at their shoes. Those shoes are amazing. It's like okay. Like, and I guess that with this, there's a lot of people that consume K-pop like this. In the sense, in the sense of like, I'm watching their MV so I can copy their look, or I can buy what they are showing in the MV. And it's like, you didn't get the message of the song. You just want to buy. So, of course that K-pop is product placement. I know it. But I think that when I see reactions like that, I'm like, oh my God, don't you have something more deep to point out, Bye. Hey, life colors. You said something like indigenous femininity, and I love that. It's feminine from within, not from ancestors or even your looks. Yes, yes. Hmm. Most locals think K-pop is a cult. Yeah, but you know, it's up to us to give it like a different meaning. You know, mm, it's up to us to give it a different meaning. Is um, um, you know, I think that sometimes, you know, sometimes we want deep things. We want to focus on the deep side of things, on the complexity of things. But there are moments where we just want to be entertained. And that's why maybe why we watch cat videos all day or dog videos. Because sometimes our brain just wants to decompress of like, oh, everything is tragic and there's a hidden meaning behind this and there's a conspiracy here and there's like a serial killer in there. You know, sometimes we just want to be entertained, you know, but I think that um, when you follow someone, you know, when, especially, you know, since we were talking about the high priestess, and I think that this has to do with the toxic side of spirituality. You know, this is why I always tell you guys, like, I can be very into tarot, and we can talk about astrology all you want. But if you have anxiety and if you have like some mental problems, like go see a therapist. Like you can still consume astrology and tarot, but you also need to go to the professionals, you know, and try to work with all the tools that you have. But you know, this is why I see so many practices and so many people with that magical thinking and stuff, and I go crazy because I know there's people that fall for that, especially when you are in a very low point in your life where you are very desperate or you feel lonely, and these people are very charismatic, you know. So when it comes to K-pop idols, it's not the same because they are in South Korea, you know, like it's just entertainment. But when it comes to people that claim that they can heal you, oh no, life colors. I don't do personal readings on. Artistically, I find K-pop is very inspiring. It's never boring. The MVs look gorgeous. It's not that deep, but it's not empty either. Yeah, yeah, honestly. And now that they are getting like more in international exposure, they are also working a lot with their concepts, or probably they are like doing a lot of self-reflection about like, okay, we have to change the method. Like, yes, we are still like, our roots are like this, we were born out of this project, so yes, we come from here, but we have, it's about also taking, like, it's not just like taking the the positive side of being exposed everywhere and that everywhere in the world they know who you are. It's more about like, okay, with all this popularity that we have to deliver something more. We have to show another side of ourselves, you know, because they are watching us. They are learning things about us for us because they care about us, because they liked us, you know. So this is why I think that even if you are a small content creator, you have to think about the quality of what you are like promoting. you know, and it's not about the video quality. It's not about, you know, the fancy backgrounds and you know, and the lights and everything. Of course, that maybe an 8-year-old would be like excited if they see a lot of flashing lights around you, you know, and fancy toys and stuff. But I think that when you are a communicator, you have to give something more to the audience, because otherwise, why are you doing it? You know, for example, in my case, I love reading cards. Like for me, tarot, it has a lot of deepness. You know, a lot of profundity. This is why I show it to you. You know, this is why I show it to you, and I think that and I wanted to show you also. I wanted to get the cards of the hiatus, but it's not the card of hiatus, the apathy card, the typical card that we always get for the poor idols. Like, at least for me, I always get it. The apathy card. Oh, this Six of Cups is so sad. This Six of Cups is so sad, guys. This is the bright side of the Six of Cups. You know, a small child, like with their parents, you know, this is like a childhood memory. And this is the shadow side. It's the abandoned child. It's so sad. It's so sad. So sad. Mm. Oh, here. The Four of Cups. You know, that the apathy card. You know, is the person, look at their expression. Their expression is like numb. It's like, oh, look, the cup that I have here. Wow. Yeah. This is the Four of Cups, the apathy card. You know, this woman is holding the cup. It's like, and this is like the shadow side. This is how she feels inside. It feels like time passes and she's still in the same spot, like holding that cup but not reacting, not doing anything. You probably see it like this. You're like, oh, she's so lucky. Look at the cups that she got. And she's holding it. She's like, oh, I have it here. But her expression is like she's not, it's like she's doing it because she's accustomed to do it. She's used to like having it. But she doesn't use it. You know, she doesn't use it. She just stays frozen in there. This could be also the card of not just apathy, but it's also about procrastination. You know, when you somehow postpone things that you know you have to do, but because your heart is not in it. You know, sometimes your heart is not in it. And actually you can like pretend enthusiasm, and actually it's not that you are like not doing anything, but emotionally you are like that. You receive the cup. You have the cups around you. But you don't move. You don't care. If someone takes it away from your hand, you will be standing in the same position anyways. Mm. It's just that it also can talk about boredom, about how sometimes our life is so stable in some things that it can be like boring. And people think that because we have it all, or because we have cups available, we should be like jumping of joy. You know, we come, the card before this card is the Three of Cups. So the Three of Cups, it's a card that talks about, you know, when celebrating with others, you know, and also having fun and being very happy inside, you know, and being with others. But what happens after the party is over, after the celebration is over? After, you know, you know, the companionship, you know, the fun times, everything, after that is gone, you enter the state of a four. Because sometimes life cannot be a party forever. There are moments in our life where sometimes we are stuck inside. We are supposed to feel a sort of excitement for what is going on around us, but we don't feel it. If you think about the four of swords, the hiatus card, the Four of Swords, it's also about slowing down and just laying down in there, and just not thinking about anything. It's not that you are suffering, nor running away from something, nor fighting someone. No, the swords are at peace. The swords are put aside in order, and you are able to lay down. You probably are not asleep nor awake. You are just laying in there. It's a pause. And if people ask you, like, what is going on with you? I don't know. I'm just in that state where I'm not worried, but also I have no thoughts. I have no feelings. Like, and this is also part of the process. And this also has to do with the perception that either you are too active in life, or you are just like dying. Like there must be something wrong with you if you are like staying still. You know, like, are you sick? Is something going on? Like, did someone hurt you? No, sometimes we just are numb. Sometimes we are choosing automatic. Sometimes we are not there. A lot of things are going on around us and we are not there. Emotionally, we are gone. We are not there. Our bodies are there, but we are not there. And that is okay. Usually, people that go through a period of grief and loss, when they are about to enter that state of grief, they become like this. They become numb because they know what is coming. They know that the realization is about to hit them. So they are just calm. They are just there. They are just resting because they know that the hardest part is about to come. Here I have the Five of Swords. The Five of Swords, we often see this, in this case we have a lady that she's like, she seems to have fought everyone, and she got her swords. This is the Five of Swords, and she got her swords. And she's like, she looks like, yes, there had been a battle, and she's like, okay, I'm standing on my own. Like, yes, I said what I wanted to say. I fight those people. I fought them with my ideas, with my opinions. So, yeah, I defeated them. I defeated them because I protected myself. I did it because they were attacking me. So because I'm hurt, because I'm in pain because of what they said. I also said a few things back, and we had an argument, and we had like a battle of the minds, of the reasoning, of the intellect. And in here we have the dark side, that is like that. This is how she really feels inside. That even when it looks like you are standing there all proud, and like you defeated the others, and like, okay, I won the argument. I still have my swords because I was right. And you fight people with your argument. You fight people because of fear, because you feel like you have to defend yourself. And you said what you wanted to say, and everyone went away. So you are like, oh yes, I made it. Like I was right. I was able to resist, and I won the argument. And then you have this side, the woman in the rain. That is about the heartbreak, the sadness, the loneliness, the loss of some time. Yes, you can win some arguments. You can win some battles. But you also lost in return. Sometimes there are some arguments, there are some battles that both sides lose. The loss is for the both sides. Even when you think that you are like, oh, but I said what I wanted to say and I was right. Yeah, but what is the gift of being right? Does it make you happier to be right? Sometimes there are people that just like, they are like, oh, I have to say what I think. Because, this is, and of course that in every communication, it's great that you have a point where you're like, I'm going to face this person, I'm going to say a few things, but sometimes it depends on what is the purpose of this discussion. What are you hoping to gain out of this confrontation? Because if it is for the other to understand you and accept that they hurt you, you are not getting it because you're left alone. Sometimes the price to be right is very high. These cards are look at this Nine of Cups. Yeah, it's kind of depressing. It also reminds me a bit of the movie Melancholia, the way it depicts depression. Yeah? The, the tarot of oppositions. It's amazing. It's from Lo Scarabeo and it comes with this small book. It's great, guys. It's very. This is why I think that this deck would be good with the shadow work, and also it's very profound. It's very profound. Actually, the tarot is profound. The tarot is profound. And like, I don't read, like I tell you, I don't read reversals. I don't like it when I get reversals. I remember I tried to read with reversals when I started a long time ago, but I felt so bad because I was like, but what if it's my fault that I got all these reverse cards? What if I don't know, I hold the deck upside down, so and now because of this person is getting all these reverse cards. I don't know why I was thinking that it could be a mistake done from my part, then they are getting all these like reverse cards. I think that, and also the person when you're pulling the cards and they see all the reversals, they also get a lot of the defensive about the meaning. They are like, okay, what does it mean? Is it good? Is it bad? So this is why I think that for me, for my practice, I prefer to read the cards like upwards. I don't do reversals. I don't read reversals because people freak out. They're like, oh, why this card is like this? So I'm like, okay, if I see something challenging or something that it's a bit, like that is a bit like risky, or it has like a double meaning, or it has like, I wouldn't say like a warning, but it has like a lesson or a challenge, the cards are going to tell me. Even if I get the most prosperous card ever, or the most like the final success, and the shining card, the Ace of Pentacles, there's always a catch behind those cards. Like this person that was here, I don't remember her name because I don't see her actually very often in the channel, I believe. But she was telling about it that she pulled a single card, and the card was the Ten of Cups for a relationship. And like, I believe it was Fluffy that responded to her, that said that yes, you can pull one card, but for a relationship, you cannot just pull one card. Like, I mean, you can, but it's much more complex than this, because in a relationship, there's two people. And also, the Ten of Cups, it's all the tens. It's like a completion kind of card, you know. But it's also a card that, yes, it talks about emotional fulfillment, you know, about family, about community, about everyone loving themselves, you know, and this huge communion of feelings. But it also has challenges, you know, for a relationship, for example. For me, if I get the Ten of Cups, it's like, it seems like everyone is, there's a lot of people in this relationship. Like, even though there's a lot of emotionality, like, it seems like there's a lot of influence of other people's emotional expectations on this union. Maybe it could be that each one of you is very like influenced by your family, or there's like a lot of things that somehow you're like, oh, we are a match for each other because, you know, we know everyone, like, you know your family, I know your family, you know my friends, I know your friends. You know, it seems like there is it's crowded, you know, the Ten of Cups. And I don't know if it's, you have to also take into consideration, is a relationship that is just started, is a relationship that it's on a break, is a relationship that it's like near to make a commitment. What did you ask the tarot? Also, learn how to ask questions. The more vague and expansive the question is, the more vague answer you're going to get. It's like the tarot is going to somehow start trolling you. Because it's like, you're asking me what's going to happen in your life in the next 10 years, and you want me to answer that in one pool? Like, you know, the one card pool is usually used when you want to bond with a new tarot deck, or when you are a new tarot reader and you want to connect with the deck. So what you do is that very early in the morning, you shuffle the cards and you pull one card. And that card is going to be like the ruler of the day. And you can decide, you can maybe be like, okay, I want to pull a card for the week. I want to see the energies of this week. So you pull one card. But it's not going to give you the entire like answer. And also, when you are reading about an emotional situation, sometimes when we pull cards for ourselves about a romantic situation we have with others, we don't see the reality. Sometimes it's better if an outsider reads for us, because when it comes to matters of the heart, we cannot detach our expectations from it. So sometimes when we pull a card, actually the card talks more about our desires than actually the actual energy available. So it's complex. It's complex, but everything is a process of learning. That's why if you want to start reading the tarot and you want to start like reading for your favorite idols, is a good exercise, because yes, you maybe, it would be nice if you would read for someone that is not your bias. Because sometimes when it's your bias, you know a lot about them and you already have like a preconceived idea of who you think that they are. This deck challenges the reader too. There are many readers who are like, oh my god, you're gonna win 1 million this month. Kind of materialistic and exaggerated predictions. But the shadow side on this deck allows, but the shadow side on this deck always feels so empty. While the light side shows the abundance in debt and inner wealth, if that makes sense. Yeah, because there's always a side to sorry guys, I got disconnected. There's always two sides to a coin, you know, and for the cards literally, you know. So I think that it also allows you to understand that where there's light, there's also shadow, and maybe behind what we were, where we are so fixated in getting, there's also a dark attribute that is like knocking on your unconscious, and it's like telling you like, oh, you asked about this matter, but what about the fears that you hide behind this? You know, there's a lot of complexity, a lot of complexity. But the light side shows the abundance. So it challenges the reader to read in more depth and more maturity. It's just that the cards are always challenging us. You know, this is the reason why I think that in my case, I always choose the most complex ones. Because I noticed that in my readings, the interpretation is very complex. So I always try to show the positive side because I don't want to scare the person. But I also often set the rules when it comes to getting a reading for me. Like, if I see challenges, I'm going to let you know. And if I see that you need to work on something, I'm going to tell you to pay attention, and I'm going to say it to you in the reading. And I expect you to pay attention to what I'm saying, because sometimes, you know, it looks like, because I talk a lot, you know, and we joke around a lot, and we talk about a lot of things, and we are talking about K-pop, and we talk about our bias, you know, and you're like, oh, Vanessa is so cool, or Vanessa is you know, we are always like having fun and stuff. But when it comes to the tarot reading, you know, I'm very serious about tarot. And the messages are very deep. So I expect you to actually, like, it's not about like, oh, you have to do what the tarot is telling you. No, it's about that you pay attention. You pay attention. You take from the reading what you need in the moment. There are some things that you're not going to understand, and there are others that probably with time you're going to, if you listen again, you're going to be like, oh, she told me this. But it's a process that it demands of you to pay attention. It's not a superficial tarot reading. It's not, of course, I have fun tarot readings. If you want me to do a fun tarot reading, or for example, I don't know, You want me to talk about, a fun subject or something that you are going through your life that is really exciting, like a new project, and you're like, okay, I want to see what's available. Great, I will show you, and I will display the cars, and we will go inside that aspect, But if I see that maybe there's some shadow in you in there, or there's something that you're not acknowledging, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. Like for idols, I cannot. I can. There's no use for me to say it because they don't. They are not. They're not listening to me. They're not watching me. But there are moments where I do express it in the tarot readings. That there are moments where I feel like I'm reading for them, and I'm like, if I was this idol or if I was reading for them, I would let them know that they have to work on this, they have to pay more attention to this, because I cannot help it. I need to deliver a sort of feedback, even if it's for an imaginary image or in an imaginary client like an idol, because the idol is not requesting a tarot reading. It's not requesting a tarot reading. It's just that this is something that I think that it's something that we have to also remember. These idols are in a very superficial environment, and the industry that they work for is very about images, about the looks, about, showing you the best side of myself. So if I would pull cards for an idol, they would probably freak out because they are not working, not all of them are working or interested in working in their spiritual self. They are more about like, oh, am I going to do great in this comeback? Am I going to get the opportunity that I want? Am I going to get the job that I want? Like, our group are going to be successful? This is what they are working so hard for. This is their goal. This is what they are focused on because it's their life. So if I would be like, oh no, you need to do some inner work, you need to work with your shadow because, you look a bit depressing in here. Like, they would be like, but I have no time. And how am I supposed to do this? I don't have an environment that would enable me to talk about my feelings. I have no one to talk to, except if it's work related. So, yeah. Have you seen videos of idols doing tarot? It's never super deep reading, but I remember the boys had a reading. The question was, is the concept gonna go well? Yeah. Because if you think about it, their whole life, it's not their whole life, but their whole structure depends on this success. They train hard for this. They adapt and they change a lot of things about themselves because of a concept. So definitely they are very invested in it. This is their life. So it's normal that they ask questions that it has to do with work. This is why when people are so focused on their future spouses, I'm like, have you looked at your idol? Your idol is worried about their job, is worried about their, I don't know, about fitting the concept very well, about that they have to prepare their bodies and minds for the main concert, the next concert, the next whatever they have to do. And you're talking about their soulmate? Like, I mean, they can have a spouse at some point, But do you think it's going to happen like a telenovela where they bump into each other, look at each other in the eye, and they're like, it's you. You are the one that I want. How about having an idol, an actual guy that doesn't know what they want? And even if they see someone interesting, they're like, I'm not in the mood for this. Or I'm not interested in, continuing this bond. So it's like these people, like, they really put all the energy in their work. It was a tarot reader doing the reading, not them having fun pulling cards. So I have to watch this, Fluffy. Maybe I didn't, I don't remember. Can you share the link then with me later, if you have it? Okay. So, okay, guys, today was fun. I wanted to show you this tarot deck, but yes, tomorrow I will. Do you think it's possible for idols to do their own inner work, like somehow find time? Maybe when they write their own songs. Maybe when they write their own songs, they can connect with what's going on. But it also depends on how the company handles this creative process. Because if they do not have the freedom, they will be given, like, okay, I want you to watch this sad movie, and I want you to read this sad book, and I want you to watch this sad series, and I want you to write a lyric about this. So it's not like, whenever an idol talk about, my favorite book, I was inspired in this. Do you think that they actually went and looked for that material, or they were given the material? But yes, there are some idols that in their career they have the independency, they have the autonomy to write things, that they are songwriters, that they are very well established in their individuality, especially if they are rappers, that they have the freedom to be like, okay, I'm going to talk about what I'm going through or what I was feeling back then. So really, I want to go deep in this and I want to write about it. And writing about it, or drawing, or I don't know, just doing something artistic about it, just like writing it down, put it on paper, it's very healing itself. And not even to mention how important it's if maybe when you share it, you get the public's good reception, in the sense that actually people are getting where you come from. Because you are somehow sharing an intimacy. You're sharing something about you being vulnerable. So this is why when fans don't get what the idol is expressing in the lyrics, it's so sad, because they try to banalize it. They treat it like something superficial, like, oh my God, he's been so sad. Oh my God, what happened? And it's like, you don't realize the treasure that you're holding in your ears or in your hands if you're reading it. They're sharing a part of their inner world. And you are not appreciating it because you're thinking from you. Oh, what if my idol is depressed? What if my idol is hurting? Who is hurting my idol? No one. It's just that he's going through a lot of struggles that normal people go through. He or she, they are opening it up, they wrote a song about it, they wrote it, so they can share this small piece of vulnerability with you. So if you want to honor their work, honor their honesty, accept it. Don't overanalyze it. Don't turn it into something vain. Turn it into something special, because that person is showing you a little bit of their heart, their existence. So how come you don't get it? It's not a puzzle. Sometimes it's not that complex. Sometimes maybe these are things that happened a long time ago and you have no idea. So yeah, definitely I think that in that case, yes, they could show their inner self, or they could work on their inner side if they start like creating something with that. Definitely. Definitely. Not a lot of them can, this is the reality, but if you happen to read some lyrics, or, just even if you don't support that artist, if you don't support that artist, just listen to what they have to say. Because maybe the song they wrote resonates with your story. And that's also for you. You don't have to stand the group, just like, if sometimes you're like, oh, I listened to this lyric, and it's, I think it's talking about me. But not like I'm me, like not me, like, oh, he's dating me. No. It's more like, what he's going through, I'm going through. I know how he felt back then because I felt the same. But yeah, definitely. For example, one of the artists that I do admire a lot, all his artistry, everything that he does, is DPR Ian. We know that DPR Ian is bipolar. His name is Christian. We know he's bipolar. He had been open, and also he had like expressed in his works the MVs, the songs, the whole struggle of having like different sides of himself and living with them, and actually like living with the fear of not knowing when he's going to collapse or when he's going to have a breakdown. And he managed to turn that into music, and you know how deep that is. So when you listen to someone like him, for me it's like, I'm not bipolar, but thanks to DPR Ian, I guess I can understand a bit better how it feels inside when you have voices in your head. And also when you are in an industry where you are exposed all the time. And you have to smile to the cameras, and you have to be pleasant, and you have to be beautiful, and you have to be perfect. And inside there's all this chaos. So every time an idol has a sort of breakdown in front of a camera, instead of you trying to be like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, what's going on with this artist? It's more about understanding, like, oh, they must be going through something. you know. Everything are signs, you know. Yes, yes. Also, he's a very nice guy. He's a very pleasant guy to listen to because his mindset it's like he admits that he's vulnerable. He's not like acting like, oh no, because, you know, like I managed to be successful even though, you know, I have this, but I have a successful life. No, he's like, you know, there are moments when I feel like I'm going crazy. And actually, I'm sitting here and like I'm still I fear that I could have like a collapse at this moment, you know, and also not knowing when it's going to happen. It conditionates you, the person that are going through it, and the people around you, because they have to be a very strong and systematic system of support. They cannot leave you alone, you know, they have to check on you every once in a while. So it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of dedication. But I guess he has a good people around him that are willing to put the work. Even the fans, I remember he did an Instagram live where he was at his lowest, that he was really out of it. He was really like depressed, like sad, like it was, I didn't see it, I didn't watch the live, but the fans that were there, they talk among the fans, and they sent a message to the managers of him, to everyone, to let them know that he was doing a live in that condition. And that if it was possible to erase it, and ask the fans to not share or spread, you know, information about this live, because this live he was seen in a very vulnerable state. So in order to not affect his image or his career, not his career, but it was more like about not hurting his image, you know, because it was a moment that he probably felt like very helpless, and he turned on the Instagram live, and he just was there in that state. So, you know, the fans also did this amazing work. It's not about you feeling pity. And, oh my God, no. It's about you taking action. Like, don't freak out. This is a person. It's not a toy. It's not a doll. But you also have to have like the maturity and the, you know, the empathy of being like, okay, I don't know what to do with this that I'm watching, but I sense that something is wrong. So how about, you know, we do something about this, but we do it together, and we work as a team to protect this artist that we love. You know, but the good thing about DPR Ian is that he had talked about his condition. So the audience, the fans, the people that follow him, they know about this. So even there are people that they had studied, or they had gathered information about, you know, his condition, to somehow know it better, to recognize the symptoms. So that's caring. That's when you care for that person. So if he one day, he decides that he's going through something, hey Lilian, he decides if he's going through, you know, a hard moment, you know, a tough moment mentally where he cannot work, because he's also a workaholic. And also his condition is part of he says that it's when he gets the most inspiration, when he is in this state. So somehow he also like puts it to work as a resource. but afterwards, that's where the downfall goes, because then he's left with nothing and he cannot function. So maybe he will disappear, and you know. But yeah, a very interesting artist. If you listen to his music, it's magical, guys. It's magical. I believe that guy definitely his videos, his music, they all they all transport me to the unconscious side. So definitely I recommend it. If you're looking for deepness and if you're looking for a sort of psychedelic roller coaster of circumstances and emotions, and it's not depressing, but it's very real. Very real. So yes, hey Lilian, I know that you just got here, but I'm going to get going because it's late and I have to cook. We were talking about tarot today. I was showing a tarot deck that I got, and we were talking about it. But tomorrow I'm going to be live at 1 p.m. my time. And we're going to talk about the Aries season, and I'm going to be pulling cards for other subjects. Maybe, I don't know, if you have some questions, we can go straight to the tarot reading, because today we rant a lot. We talk a lot about a lot of things. So yes, guys, tomorrow we're going to do the usual card pulling. So yes, thank you so much for being here, guys. Have a great Saturday. Bye.